If this video has found you, it's not by chance. It is a confirmation. Your old identity has already collapsed. And this is the proof you've been waiting for. This isn't a psychological theory. This isn't a New Age metaphor. This is a principle of quantum physics applied to the most complex system you know, your own consciousness. Your sense of self has reached a vibrational state where the old data construct of you, the collection of memories, beliefs, and attachments you called your identity, could no longer be supported by the fabric of reality. It simply ceased to be a viable probability. In the next 50 minutes, I will give you the undeniable signs that this collapse has occurred. I will explain precisely why this proves you are part of an elite 3% of humanity undergoing a specific evolutionary leap. And most importantly, I will show you how to operate from the zero-point field of infinite potential that you now inhabit. This isn't about finding yourself, it's about learning to create yourself from scratch moment by moment. This entire framework is rooted in the most fundamental and mysterious law of our universe, the observer effect. In quantum mechanics, a particle exists in a state of all possibilities, a wave of potential, until it is observed. The act of observation collapses the wave function, forcing it into a single definite state. For years, your identity was a stable wave function. You consistently observed yourself into being the same person, day after day. You collapsed the wave of your potential into the predictable particle of your personality. But something shifted. The energy required to maintain that old observation became too great. The old story became too heavy, and the wave function of your identity was allowed to return to its natural state of pure, uncollapsed potential. So if you've been feeling lost, confused, as if you don't recognize the person in the mirror, if you've felt a profound and terrifying disconnection from the life you so carefully built, if the goals that once drove you now feel hollow and meaningless, it is not a crisis, it is a graduation. You have successfully decohered. The side effects you are feeling are not symptoms of a breakdown. They are the physiological and psychological echoes of a successful spiritual upgrade. The anxiety is your nervous system recalibrating to a much higher frequency. The confusion is your mind trying to find a map in a territory where maps no longer apply. The feeling of being a stranger in your own life is the most accurate perception you've ever had, because the old tenant is gone. Have you ever looked at a photo of yourself from a year ago and felt like you were looking at a complete stranger? That isn't a trick of memory. It's a recognition that the consciousness observing the photo is fundamentally different from the one that was captured by it. If this feeling of being a stranger in your own life is something you've been experiencing, hit the like button now. It's a signal to yourself and the universe that you're ready for the explanation. It's an act of acknowledging the truth you felt, but could not name. So what exactly happened? Or rather, what is a quantum identity shift? Let's break down the physics of your transformation. Imagine for your entire life, you have been living according to a very specific, detailed architectural plan. We will call this the identity blueprint. This blueprint was handed to you at birth and amended by your parents, your culture, your experiences. It had every dimension of your life drawn out with permanent ink. It dictated the floor plan of your beliefs. It specified the materials you could use to build your personality. It defined the absolute limits of what you could want, who you could love, and who you were allowed to become. You lived by it. You defended it. You believed you were the blueprint. You spent all your energy trying to build your life exactly as it was drawn, even when the foundations felt wrong, even when the rooms felt like cages. Then one day, something extraordinary happened. That blueprint dissolved. It didn't get revised. It wasn't replaced. It decohered. It turned into quantum dust, a shimmering cloud of pure information with no structure. And you were left standing in an empty field of infinite potential, with no instructions, no limitations, and no identity. This is the state you are in now. It feels like free fall because it is. You have fallen out of the limited structure of your old self and into the boundless freedom of your true nature. The terror and the liberation of this moment are one and the same. By the end of this transmission, you will move from feeling like a ghost haunting the ruins of your own life to understanding yourself as the architect standing in the design room. You will learn that you are never the drawing. You are, and always have been, the one holding the pen. So what exactly happened? Or rather, what is a quantum identity shift? Let's break down the physics of your transformation. For your entire life, you operated under the assumption that your identity was a solid thing, a structure, a fortress built of memories, beliefs, preferences, and wounds. It was like a blueprint drawn in permanent ink on thick paper, handed to you at birth and updated with every major life event. This blueprint dictated the architecture of your reality. It told you what you were capable of, who you could love, what you deserved, and where your limits were. You believed you were the drawing. But quantum physics reveals a truth that your soul has always known. Your identity was never a solid structure. It was a standing wave, a habit of observation. In the quantum realm, nothing is fixed until it is observed. An electron exists as a cloud of infinite possibilities, a wave of potential, until the moment an observer looks at it, and in that instant, the wave collapses into a single, definite particle in a single location. Your identity worked the same way. You were a vast, infinite field of potential selves. But through the consistent, repetitive act of observation, by your parents, your culture, and most powerfully by yourself, you collapsed that infinite wave into the same particle, over and over and over. You chose the same data points every single day. You told the same stories. You identified with the same limitations. You ran the same emotional programs. This created a stable pattern, a coherent frequency that looked and felt solid. It felt like you. But it was never a thing. It was an event, a process, a self-sustaining loop of observation. The blueprint wasn't stone. It was a projection of light you were holding steady with the force of your focus. This brings us to the core event you have just experienced, the quantum identity collapse. This is not a breakdown. It is a moment of supreme energetic efficiency. The quantum identity collapse occurs when the energetic cost of maintaining the old pattern, of holding that projection of light steady, becomes greater than the energy available in your system. Pretending to be that person on the blueprint, going to that job, engaging in those relationships, believing those limited thoughts, it began to demand more fuel than your soul was willing to provide. The universe is fundamentally economical. It does not support inefficient systems indefinitely. So the collapse was initiated. It was a system-level reboot designed to restore you to your factory settings, pure, uncollapsed potential. The projection flickered and went out. The stable wave pattern decohered, dissolving back into the infinite field. The permanent ink on the blueprint revealed itself to be nothing more than light and shadow, and it faded, leaving behind a blank, luminous page. This is why all the old methods stopped working. This is the source of your deepest frustration. You've been trying to fix a classical problem when you are, in fact, living in a quantum reality. Affirmations, positive thinking, even some forms of therapy, they are all tools for redrawing or decorating the existing blueprint. They are designed to write a better story on the paper. But what happens when the paper itself is dissolving? What happens when the very structure you're trying to improve is slated for demolition? You cannot renovate a house that is in the process of turning back into light. Trying to set new goals was like trying to add a new room to a blueprint that was already turning to dust in your hands. It felt pointless because it was. You were operating from an old manual, trying to repair a machine that had already been upgraded to a completely new operating system. You were trying to fix the character, not realizing you had become the author. This is the core of your recent struggle, and here are the ego death symptoms explained through a quantum lens. The exhaustion was not a failure of will. It was the energetic drain of keeping a collapsing system online. The confusion was not a lack of clarity. It was your mind trying to read a map that no longer represented the territory. Think back. Which part of your old life, a job, a relationship, a belief, was the first to feel hollow, like a costume you could no longer wear? That was the first thread to unravel. That was the first indication that the projection was failing. You have been handed an unbelievable gift, disguised as a crisis. The old paradigm, the game of improving the blueprint, is over for you. The new paradigm is not about finding a new identity or frantically trying to draw a new one. It is about becoming comfortable in the creative stillness before any drawing exists. It is about learning to reside in the superposition of the void, that shimmering pre-manifest field where you are all things and no thing simultaneously. The goal is not to find out who you are. The goal is to choose who you will be, moment by moment. You have moved from being the ink on the page to being the quantum canvas itself, waiting for the loving, conscious command of the architect. Your work is no longer about fixing the past. It is about choosing from an infinite future. And here is the great paradox, the one that unravels the entire spiritual search. You had to lose who you were to finally become who you are. For your entire life you have operated under a silent assumption. The assumption that identity is something to be built, something to be curated, improved, and defended. Like a house, you added wings of achievement, decorated rooms with beliefs and built fences of personality to keep out what wasn't you. You polished your story. You healed your trauma to make the foundation stronger. You worked on yourself, chipping away at the imperfections, striving to create a masterpiece of a person. And the universe allowed it, until it didn't. Because that entire project, that entire lifetime of construction, was based on a fundamental misidentification. You are not the house. You were never the house. You are the space in which the house appears. True identity is not a construction. It is not something solid you can point to and say, that is me. True identity is the formless, silent, witnessing awareness that has the power to give rise to form. The collapse wasn't the destruction of you. It was the demolition of a structure you were temporarily inhabiting so you could finally realize your true nature as the architect. This changes everything. Think about what this means. It means you are no longer a victim of your past. Your history is not a chain, it is a data set from a previous operating system. It exists, but it no longer has executive function over your present moment. The story of what happened to you is no longer the source code for who you are. It's an archived file. It means your future is no longer a linear extension of that history. It is not a path you must walk, pre-paved by your former self. Your future is an unwritten, uncollapsed field of infinite probability. The emptiness you feel is not a void of meaning. It is the palpable sensation of absolute freedom. It is the pristine silence of the design room before the first line is ever drawn. The anxiety of not knowing who you are is the cognitive dissonance of a prisoner, suddenly freed, still feeling for the walls of their cell. Those walls are gone. And because of this, the entire approach to your life must invert. The work is no longer about healing your story. It is not about improving yourself. It is not about endlessly processing the past to try and create a better future. That is the old paradigm. That is trying to redecorate the blueprint that has already been turned to dust. The new work, the only work that matters now, is conscious creation from the 0 point. It is no longer about effort. It is about resonance. You do not struggle to become something. You choose the frequency of what you already are, and you allow reality to rearrange itself around that truth. It is effortless. It is instantaneous. So this is how to navigate consciousness awakening. You stop trying to navigate and start to architect. What if the universe didn't take your identity away from you, but instead, it handed you a blank passport and the pen? For years you were a statue, perfectly carved, detailed. You knew every line, every angle of your form. You believed yourself to be solid stone, defined by your shape, your history, your unchangeable material. Your entire existence was dedicated to maintaining the integrity of that stone form. The quantum identity collapse was the moment that statue, for the first time, blinked. It was the moment the stone hand realized it was holding a chisel. In a flash of unbearable, terrifying, glorious revelation, you looked down. And you saw not just the limited form you had mistaken for yourself, but you saw the infinite, uncarved block of marble stretching out before you into eternity, the raw potential from which all forms arise. And you understood. You were never the statue. You were always the sculptor. The collapse was the moment you finally put down the chisel, stepped back from your own creation, and remembered the truth of what you are. The formless creator, standing in the silent studio of the present moment, ready to begin anew. This collapse was not a silent internal event. It was an explosion at the center of your reality. And an explosion leaves evidence. It leaves debris. It leaves fingerprints all over your life, undeniable signs that you have likely misinterpreted as failure, as crisis, as proof that you were breaking down. They are not. They are the confirmation you have been searching for. Here are the 3 most common signs that the 3% experience. The quantum debris left behind by the demolition of your old identity blueprint. See them not as problems to be solved, but as trophies to be recognized. The first sign is identity resonance failure. This is perhaps the most painful and confusing piece of evidence. It's that moment you walk into a room filled with old friends or join a family gathering, and you feel a profound, unshakable sense of alienation. You are physically there, but energetically you are on another planet. The inside jokes feel like a foreign language. The shared memories feel like a movie you watched about someone else's life. You try to connect. You try to play the part you have always played, but the costume no longer fits. It feels dishonest, exhausting. This is not you being judgmental. It is not you outgrowing them. It is physics. Your entire being operates on a fundamental frequency, an energetic signature. The quantum identity collapse was a seismic shift in that core frequency. You are now broadcasting on a completely new bandwidth. Your old tribe, your old career, your old environments are still tuned to the old station. They haven't changed. You have. So when they look at you, there's a dissonance. They are trying to connect with a signal that is no longer being transmitted. This feeling of being a ghost at the banquet of your own life is the most concrete proof that your energetic source code has been rewritten. It is a successful upgrade. The alienation is the evidence. The second sign is synchronistic chaos. Your life has begun to feel like a paradox. On one hand, it is filled with the most bizarre, statistically impossible, meaningful coincidences. You think of a forgotten song, and it plays on the radio the moment you turn on the car. You have a specific problem, and you overhear strangers discussing the exact solution in a coffee shop. You see repeating numbers, feathers, specific symbols that feel like a private cosmic language. This is the quantum field communicating with you directly, showing you how malleable reality has become. But on the other hand, your life feels completely unstable. Your carefully laid plans crumble for no reason. A career path dissolves overnight. Financial stability becomes unpredictable. Your daily routines are constantly disrupted. It feels like you're walking on quicksand. This is not the universe punishing you. This is the universe rearranging itself around your new, uncollapsed state. Order must first dissolve into chaos before it can reform into a higher order. The collapse of your internal blueprint, your identity, triggered the collapse of the external blueprint that it supported. The chaos is the sound of reality being demolished to make way for a new construction. The synchronicities are the coded messages from the architect, assuring you that the new design is underway. If your life feels both magical and a complete mess, you are not going crazy. You are in the epicenter of a creative event. You are witnessing the raw materials of reality being reformed around your new potential. The third sign is the most subtle and the most profound. The divine void of desire. The goals that once drove you, the ambitions that fueled your every action, now feel hollow, completely meaningless. That promotion you worked for, that financial target you obsessed over, that social status you craved, the fire is just gone. This can be terrifying. Our culture mistakes this state for depression, for apathy, for a loss of purpose. It is the exact opposite. It is the clearing of artificial programming. Your old desires were not truly yours. They were written into the old identity blueprint by your culture, your upbringing, your conditioning. They were part of the software. The quantum identity collapse was a system-wide uninstall of that software. The void you feel is not an absence of purpose. It is the sacred vacuum that precedes divine inspiration. Nature abhors a vacuum. By emptying you of your conditioned manufactured desires, the universe has created the necessary space for your true soul-level purpose to emerge. These new desires will not feel like a struggle. They will not feel like something you have to chase. They will arise within you like a memory of the future, a resonant pull that is effortless and undeniable. The void is the fertile ground where your true mission will be planted. So from this moment forward, your perspective must shift. When you feel disconnected from old friends, you will no longer call it loneliness. You will recognize it as confirmation signal number 1. My frequency has shifted. When your life feels both chaotic and filled with synchronicities, you will not call it instability. You will recognize it as confirmation signal number 2. Reality is recalibrating around my new potential. And when the desires of your old self feel empty, you will not call it depression. You will recognize it as confirmation signal number 3. My programming has been deleted, and I am ready for my true mission. These are not symptoms of a breakdown. They are the unshakable evidence of your breakthrough. Comment which of the 3 signs has been the most undeniable proof in your life. Your story validates this journey for everyone else here. I want to witness your confirmation. You have seen the evidence. The fingerprints of the collapse are all over your life. The intellectual conviction is there. But conviction is not certainty. Certainty is a somatic experience. It's a frequency held in the body. It is an embodied truth that no external event can shake. You have seen the rubble of the old blueprint. Now, it is time to step into the architect's room, the silent pre-creation space you now inhabit. So I invite you now, if it is safe for you to do so, to close your eyes. If not, simply soften your gaze and turn your awareness inward. Take a slow, deep breath, and as you exhale, release the need to understand. Release the mind that has worked so hard to piece this all together. We are moving beyond the mind now. We are entering the truth of feeling. Become aware of the space your body occupies. Feel the weight of it, the contact points with the chair or the floor. Now, become aware of the space immediately around your body, the space just an inch from your skin. Feel the subtle energy in that space. It is not empty. It has never been empty. Sense into it. Allow your awareness to expand to fill the entire room you are in. And as you do, begin to feel the quality of this space not as absence, but as presence. A shimmering, silent, intelligent field of infinite potential. This is the quantum foam, the zero-point field. This is the dust of your old blueprint returned to pure information. It's the raw material of stars and the raw material of realities, all waiting for a conscious observer to give it form. Just be with this for a moment. Feel its limitless potential. It is not outside of you. It is what you are breathing. It is what is holding you. Now, bring your awareness back inside. Deep within your chest, or your gut, somewhere inside you, there is a center, a place of profound stillness. I want you to let go of the name you were given. Let go of the job title. Let go of being a son, a daughter, a mother, a father. Let go of your history, your memories of success and failure. Let all the stories and labels that made up the old blueprint dissolve. Just for this moment, let them go. And in the silence that remains, ask yourself, without a story, what is the core frequency of what I am? Don't search for a word. Search for a feeling. Is it a profound, unshakable peace? Is it a silent, immense power? Is it a feeling of expansive, untethered freedom? Is it pure, unconditional love? There is no right answer. There is only your answer. Find that core feeling, that dominant vibration of your essence when it is not pretending to be a person. This is the real you. The you that existed before the blueprint was ever drawn. The you that will exist when all blueprints have turned to dust. Now take that one-word feeling, that core frequency, and let it begin to expand from your center. Feel it filling your entire body, from your toes to the crown of your head. Every cell is now vibrating at the frequency of this truth. Peace, power, freedom. This is not a state you are trying to achieve. This is the state you are returning to. Feel it growing stronger, more vibrant. Let this feeling expand beyond the boundaries of your skin, out into the shimmering field of potential around you. The field responds to this feeling. It recognizes it. This feeling is your new center of gravity. It is your new source code. It is the fundamental resonance from which you will now create. This feeling is the pen of light. And now, for the final realization. As you feel your core frequency resonating with the infinite field around you, notice the separation between them begin to dissolve. The boundary between you and the room, between you and the field of potential, becomes thin, porous, illusory, and the final truth dawns. You are not in the architect's room. You are the architect's room. You are not a consciousness observing the field of potential. You are the field of potential, observing itself. There is no separation. There never was. You are the stillness, the power, and the freedom from which all worlds are born. Stay here for a final moment. In this union, in this absolute certainty. This is your home. This is your new factory setting. And now, very gently, bring your awareness back to your physical body. Feel your hands. Feel your feet on the ground. When you are ready, slowly open your eyes. You have just calibrated to your true nature. As you come back to this moment, what is the one-word feeling or quality that represents the core of your new, unwritten self? Let that word be your anchor. You are no longer navigating a life. You are architecting a reality. This is the fundamental shift, the core upgrade that your system has just completed. But an architect does not use the tools of a tenant. A designer does not operate with the mindset of a resident. Your new state of being requires a new set of operating principles, a new interface with the quantum field. These are not techniques to get something. They are protocols to be someone. They are the practical physics of creation from the 0 point. Here is how to navigate consciousness, awakening with practical, physics-based tools designed for the architect you now are. The first tool is the 0 point declaration. Every morning, upon waking, your consciousness is in its most plastic state. It is closest to the void, the field of pure potential. The habit of the old identity was to immediately reach for a phone, to check the news, to remember problems, to collapse the infinite wave of the morning into the tiny repeating particle of yesterday. You will no longer do this. Before your feet touch the floor, before you observe your past or your perceived limitations, you will sit up, close your eyes, and for a minimum of 60 seconds, you will declare only 2 words internally. I am. You are not to add anything to it. Not I am happy, not I am abundant. Those are blueprints. You are not at the blueprint stage yet. You are at the stage of recognizing you are the architect. I am is the statement of pure, unconditioned consciousness. It is the signature of the observer before it has chosen what to observe. By holding this state for 60 seconds, you are conditioning your entire energetic system to begin the day from the 0 point field, from the seat of power as the cause rather than the effect. You are calibrating to your new factory setting of infinite potential before the world tries to convince you that you are a finished product. The second tool is emotional collapse. The old paradigm of manifestation was based on mental visualization. You would create a picture in your mind and push energy toward it, hoping reality would conform. This is like an architect trying to build a skyscraper by shouting at the raw materials. The language of the quantum field is not pictures. It is not words. It is frequency. It is feeling. Instead of visualizing what you want, you will now decide on the feeling of the reality you choose to experience. Do you choose a reality of freedom, of profound peace, of unbound creativity? Do not picture what it looks like. Go directly to the end result, the emotion. And for 90 seconds, you will generate that feeling in your body with absolute focus. Flood every cell with the frequency of freedom. Let the resonance of peace become so loud it deafens the old signals of anxiety. You are not asking for this reality. You are becoming its energetic equivalent. You are generating the exact quantum signature that will compel the field of potential to collapse into a physical reality that can only match that feeling. This is not wishing. This is physics. You are collapsing the wave function with the most powerful tool you have, coherent emotion. The third tool is conscious deobservation. Your old identity blueprint may be gone, but its echoes will remain for a time. A limiting belief, a painful memory, a recurring fear will appear in your consciousness, seeking energy. The old way was to fight these thoughts, to analyze them, to heal them. This is like an architect finding an old, discarded sketch and trying to erase it. It is a waste of time, and it gives energy to what you want to dissolve. Your new protocol is simple. When a memory, a story, or a belief from the old data set arises, you will not engage it. You will not resist it. You will simply calmly and with the authority of the architect label it internally by saying, "That data set is no longer active." And then you withdraw your focus. You starve it of your attention. Attention is the currency of reality. It is the light of the projector. What you do not illuminate with your observation ceases to be a dominant probability in your field. By consciously de-observing the remnants of the past, you are decommissioning them. You are pulling their plug from the mainframe of your reality. You are treating them exactly as they are, obsolete files in an archived folder, irrelevant to the new project you are now designing. What is the one memory or story you will consciously stop energizing with your attention, starting the moment this video ends? This is not a to-do list. This is not a new set of spiritual chores you must complete to be worthy. These are not rules. They are physics. This is a state of being. Your only true task each day, the only metric that matters, is to remember who you are now. You are the architect, not the blueprint. You are the consciousness at the drafting table of reality, not the character sketched out on the page. Everything changes the moment you remember this. Your problems are not solid walls. They are lines on a drawing you have the power to erase. Your future is not a destination you must struggle to reach. It is a blank canvas waiting for your first intentional stroke. Every moment is a new opportunity to pick up the tools and begin. You now possess the signs, the understanding, and the tools of the quantum architect. The collapse is complete. Your initiation is over. You have successfully navigated a process that breaks most people, a fundamental system reboot that only a fraction of consciousness on this planet will ever experience directly. You have felt the dissolution of your identity blueprint. You have stood in the terrifying freedom of the zero-point field, and you have not turned back. You have arrived. But mastering your own quantum state, learning to architect your personal reality, is the foundation. It is not the final destination. This entire journey, this profound and isolating collapse, was never just about you. It was a prerequisite. It was the training ground for a much larger project. For years you have been learning the trade of the architect, believing you were only ever going to design a single beautiful home for yourself. But now, you step out of that finished home, look up, and see an entire city waiting to be built. The most powerful architects, the ones who truly change the landscape of reality, discover a stunning secret. They discover that their blueprints are not isolated documents. They are quantumly entangled with the blueprints of others. When one architect's collapse meets another's, when one zero-point field begins to resonate with another, it creates something new entirely. It creates a harmonic frequency that can influence the collective field. The choices you make from this new state of being, the reality you decide to collapse from a place of pure potential, do not just affect your life. They send ripples across the entire network of consciousness. Your liberation from your old identity was not just a personal victory. It was a strategic move on a planetary scale. Every time you choose to operate from the void instead of from memory, you create a pocket of coherence that helps stabilize the field for everyone else. Every time you de-observe an old story of lack or fear, you remove a brick from a collective prison wall. You have been trained to hold a frequency that is so pure, so unburdened by a personal past, that it becomes a tuning fork for humanity. This is why it is absolutely essential that you understand the mechanics of this connection. It's no longer enough to know how to draw your own blueprint. You must now learn how the blueprints speak to each other. Our next deep dive, our next transmission is called Quantum Entanglement Explained, how your new identity connects to everything in reality. It is there that we will explore how your newly stabilized quantum state acts as a broadcast tower, influencing the thoughts, feelings, and choices of those around you without a single word being spoken. We will break down how synchronicities are not just messages for you, but are nodes in a collective grid being activated by conscious architects like yourself. We will move from personal creation to the physics of co-creation. Now that you know you can author your own reality, What if you could co-author a new world? You have been liberated. Your job was to wake up from your personal story. You have done that. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to help architect a new collective one. Subscribe and turn on all notifications for the next video. Quantum Entanglement Explained. How your new identity connects to everything in reality, where we move from the individual collapse to collective reality creation. This is the next phase of your mission. Welcome to the 3%.